I'm Olga Tsimaraki, and this is SEO in 2023.
Olga, what is your number one SEO tip for 2023?
So it's something that we keep forgetting, but my tip is to stop forgetting about our users. We need to remember that they come first. So essentially, Google has been pushing us towards the users a lot, especially lately, but they've been doing the same since 2011 at least, after the Panda update, if I'm correct. The thing is that we're very focused on all their technical SEO fixes, following the best practices, doing the odds and ends on the side, the technical things. But we keep forgetting that Google's mission is to organize the world's information and make it accessible and useful. So accessible and useful were the two key words forever. Google's users are our users. So whenever you have someone coming to your site, your target audience, helping them solve their problem, actually answering their questions, giving them something useful and something accessible and something that's designed well and legible and just enjoyable. It's essentially what we should be doing, because if we do that for our own users, that's of course great, because our users will appreciate it and they will buy or subscribe or anything we want them to do. But our users are Google's users. So if we give them that useful and accessible content, Google will appreciate it and rank us higher. So a big part of everything we're doing should be focused there. It shouldn't be fixing the speed. Getting that perfect score on Core Web Vitals might be important. It is important, but you shouldn't forget that if the content on the page is not really useful, if you're leaving them hanging and not actually giving them the entire answer that they're looking for, having the perfect score and speed wouldn't actually solve your problems.
Absolutely. So is focusing on speed, as you mentioned, one of the common things that SEOs focus on when they just shouldn't focus on it too much?
Well, it has been mostly since last year. It has been something that we've been talking about with our clients for years. But like I said in the beginning, Google has been pushing a lot towards user experience. And since last year, with the user experience update and the new Core Web Vitals, everyone suddenly got in a craze about fixing their speed. It's extremely important. I'm not saying it's not important. All the technical fixes that we're doing, having the XML sitemap, the robots files, all the small optimizations that we do for the titles, the meta descriptions, everything that we do, schema, they're all important. But if we don't first think about solving the user's problem, whatever you do technically won't solve your issues, won't have Google liking what they do.
Can we do things at the same time? I mean, can we actually positively improve our SEO and at the same time be improving things for users?
Yeah, we can, of course. It does depend a little bit on your capacity. It depends who you are. Like if we're talking about a small business, they can't probably do everything at the same time. If we're talking about a big business with a marketing department or having a full agency working for them, yeah, we can probably do everything together. The problem that I need to stress out is, because I've been saying this with my clients, with most of my clients for the last 3-4 years that I'm working for an agency. They're focused on doing the technical things, but they're not as focused as doing the other part. They think that the technical things will save them. They will rank them high like that. So it's about not forgetting about them, not stressing too much. That's why my tip is focused on that, because we keep forgetting about the easier part, the part about we think about your users, and we make sure to have the FAQs in there and simple but to the point content on a page. And we start doing the keyword research and stuffing keywords on a page just because we're going to bring more people through those keywords. But even if the keywords are there, if the content itself is not actually helpful, it doesn't make sense.
So why is this then?
I've seen it with my clients.
Is this because SEOs aren't very good at being creative and thinking about users? They're more technically orientated. Is it because SEOs aren't very good at maybe talking to content marketing departments and articulating what's important from an SEO perspective with them as well, or some other reason?
So I might be biased because I'm mostly on the agency side, which means that a big part, we depend on a lot of things from the client themselves. We're not in their company. We don't know everything about their company. So a lot of things they need to be doing. I mean, we point them to the right direction, but they need to be doing that on their own. I don't believe that SEOs don't know what's important, but it always depends on the business owner and whoever else they're working with.
So maybe then it's
to give them the
SEOs need to push more to be involved in content strategy meetings at the beginning of the year and setting that and be part of setting that.
That could be very useful, yeah. And I think all SEOs are slowly going towards that, especially since the helpful content update. It's easier to explain to your clients too, because it's right there in the title. You have the helpful content update. Google is telling you that you need to have helpful content and not just content that has the keywords, not just content that's generated by AI in bulk. What everyone knew always is that content is king. Write content, write articles, put the keywords in there. And that's something that a business owner understands. But SEO is kind of complicated to explain sometimes. And when you're trying to push them towards a different direction, but they're not 100% sure about what that direction is, or they think that the technical side is more important, then you get in a conflict, essentially, that you can't get out of.
But does having helpful content that's great for user experience actually have a measurable positive impact on SEO?
Well, when you have helpful content, it's not a ranking signal. We've read that in articles. If you follow all the Google Twitter account, you can see people mentioning that it's not actually a ranking signal, but user signals like the bounce rate, the new engagement rate that we see in Google Analytics 4, the time on page, the click-through rate from search. These are signals that you can see. You can see getting better if you have helpful content, essentially. These are signals that Google is looking at. Nothing is verifiable. I can't tell you whether it's a ranking signal or not. But we do know if we start looking into old tweets and old office times of Google, don't remember the name exactly, we can see that they keep insisting that focus on that. It might not be 100% a ranking signal that we check exactly, but if that's improved, then your rankings will improve. It helps your SEO in total.
So how do you actually go about then creating great content for users? Is it still centered around keyword research? Is it a certain type of content? And has that content changed much over the last couple of years?
Well, what I usually recommend with my clients, what we do for our agency is try to give it a more personal twist, I would say. You do the keyword research, of course. You need to see how people are searching for things. You have to think, of course, about the search intent now. So it's not just about the exact keyword, but if someone searches for SEO services, they probably want to buy SEO services. But if someone just searches SEO keyword research, that doesn't necessarily mean that they need to buy it. They might just want to learn how to do it. So we need to figure out, it's a very general example, of course, but search intent is important. So we know when someone is searching for that keyword, are they actually looking to buy? So can I use it in a service page? Are they looking for information? Can I use it in my content? So yes, I agree. Keyword research is still important, and the structure is important, and having a legible article with a lot of spaces, small paragraphs, all of this. But I think the most important thing is to make it more unique, not just gather information from everywhere else and repeat the same things that everyone is saying, but actually try to write content where you actually have something new to say because of your experience, or because your customers asked something, or just try to get, you have a business, you probably talk with people all the time through customers or employees or anyone else. So there are ways to give it a personal twist, and that's what makes it unique and more helpful than the next article.
So does this mean that keyword search volume is less important than it used to be?
I don't think it's less important, but I always thought that keyword volume is a little bit, it depends on who you are. If you're a small business that's selling a SaaS that's very expensive, even if you get a keyword with 100 volume per month, but those 100 people actually trust you because it's just you up there, you're the expert, and they come to you and you build your brand like that, and 10 people buy, or 5, that's still a good conversion rate eventually in the big plan, right? I think that I'm not saying it's not important, but depends on what niche you're in, what kind of business you're in, who you want to attract. The numbers, a little bit relevant in my opinion.
Well, it feels like the SEO role is changing a bit. It's perhaps morphing into something that's either quite technical and almost consulting into IT departments, or something that's actually consulting into creative departments. Is that fair?
I don't think SEO is changing, to be honest. I think Google, and I'm talking about Google because it's the biggest search engine, so everyone follows their rules when it comes to SEO. But Google has been saying the same thing since 2011. They just try to push more and more towards that now, and it's just become more clear. I don't think it's a bit of both. You still need the technical, like I told you. It's not like, and if you can do everything at the same time, if you can write 4 articles every week that are also great and creative and have the unique media, yeah, go ahead and do it and add the schema everywhere on your site. I don't think that has changed. Anyone who could actually do that, they were still already doing it, they will still do it. And I don't think it's taking a specific direction between one or another. I'm not sure right now if I think it's changed. They're making it more clear for everyone.
Google are making it more clear what you need to be doing.
Yeah.
And are Google leading everyone in the correct direction, or are there still some techniques that work that Google wouldn't particularly want you to do?
Well, I'm sure there are some things that they wouldn't want you to do. I think, especially with the technological advancements like AI, their algorithms are becoming more and more advanced. So we are having less fewer and fewer opportunities to cheat.
Yeah, I'm having a few conversations about AI-generated content as well. Do you have any or sense of loathing about whether or not AI content is a good idea or not?
I don't think AI content itself is a good idea, but I do believe that it can be helpful. It can be an assist when you're a little bit stuck with getting content out of you. Like it can help you get started with something, with getting what you have in your mind out there and starting to write, but it needs to be just an assistant, not full-on AI content generation.
So does that mean that you're not particularly a fan of AI content? Do you not believe that AI-generated content should be used anywhere on a website?
I think that it should help you. I like writing for my own personal, like as a hobby, but as a marketer, I struggle. So having AI giving me a little bit of a push in order to write a blog that I might want to write or something else, it's actually very helpful for me. And it can give you inspiration because there are tools with AI that you can get headlines out of there or things like that. So you can definitely get something creative that you've never thought, but you always need to think about whether it works or whether it's actually something new. Don't just take everything, not for granted, but copy paste from AI.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's an assistant. It'll perhaps help you think of something that you haven't actually even considered beforehand, but to rely on it to create a creative piece is probably taking a bit of a risk with the future success of or organic success of your website.
I think so, especially because, I haven't dove in too much into AI, but if everyone is asking about the same skincare content, how unique can it be if it will be, but after a point, you will still generate the same things again and again, right? It won't have that unique perspective if you start saying the same things.
So you've shared what SEO should be doing in 2023. Now let's talk about what SEO shouldn't be doing. So what's something that's seductive in terms of time, but ultimately counterproductive? What's something that SEO shouldn't be doing in 2023?
Like I said already, a big part of what you shouldn't be doing is forgetting about that user. So that's already there. But, and we've already talked actually about the AI content. So that's a big no-no for me as well. Like, use it as an assistant, like we already said, but don't really just generate content for the sake of content. That won't be useful at the moment, especially with the helpful content update coming up and Google handing all the AI content down. But Nothing new, I think. Like the tip for me, at least, would be the same tips that we always had. Like, don't go buying backlinks. Don't go buying content from people that don't know, that they're not experts on your content. We also we have to focus on that. Like, it's always been the same. And the one thing that I haven't been able to pass on to my customers easily because it's not clearly written somewhere, and it's the one thing that I always care about. It's about that part, the helpful content, the users, the fact that you need to be an expert on what you're doing, the it factors, so expertise, authority, and trust. So don't just get someone to write content and put the keywords in there because that's what you should be doing. Even if that content is unique, if that person is not an expert, that's also important. You need to we need to know who the person is, who the author is too, so we can know who to trust. Even if person is important, but at least the brand behind it should be an authoritative brand around that niche and topic. But yeah, for me, you'll probably hear some great tips from everyone, but that the most important thing for me is that, honestly, like, don't generate content for the sake of it. Don't add keywords just for keyword's sake. Don't do everything just because that's the rule to do it, because there isn't really a rule. There are some best practices because we believe they're working. Okay, we've done tests, of course. We have an idea of what works and what isn't, but nobody knows exactly what Google is testing, what Google is doing. The one thing that Google has been clear about is the user. Like, focus on the user, give them helpful content. So why are we not following that one rule that they're actually clear about?
Olga Tsimaraki is marketing consultant and COO at Zima Media. And you can find her over thebuddingmarketer.com. Olga, thanks so much for being part of SEO in 2023.
Thank you for having me here.
Get your copy of SEO in 2023, the book, over at SEOin2023.com.